have a solution to end your problems that you're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
I could put money in your pocket, but if you don't want to listen to me, you can let somebody else kick you out in a few weeks from your house.
Like if you're very ambitious, like some of us, like where we can manage a couple different things, you may not be great at it, but most people never look at the long term.
And if you believe that you're going to be here for the next 5, 10, 15 years, you have to put effort into understanding how can I start to build what that's going to look like today.
She was looking on the market, 1.5, 1.4, 1.8, 1.2. I was like, I'm not paying retail for a house, baby, right?
It's $1 million.
Yeah.
My man.
Hey, yeah, I got you. That one. My God.
$1 million.
AI won't replace people. People that know how to use AI will replace people. So what can you first tell somebody who's scared of AI to get them to like want to start adapting it?
Every deal that we look at needs to have 2 ways to profit or more.
Okay.
Right. So every deal that we buy is good as a rental. It's also good as a flip. Right.
Okay.
This is the safest way to invest in real estate.
Okay.
And I learned this a couple years back the hard way, right? When I had a property that we didn't want to sell.
But you had to rent it out.
I had to rent it out, but it was losing money every month, right? Because I didn't analyze it the right way. So for those of you who are looking to get into real estate, the best and safest way to approach any deal is only buy a deal if it works as a rental and if it works as a flip. That way, if you put in the market, you don't get the cash buyer or whatever buyer that you're looking for to buy that property, right? At the price you're wanting, you flip it to a rental, you still cash flow. 2 years down the line, you pop it then, right? So you need properties that work in both ways. So it needs to be able to cash flow, right? As a rental, and needs to be able to make a nice, decent profit, at least a 15% ROI as a flip or better. And that's how I look at every deal that I do.
But let me ask you this though. Typically what I hear, I don't have an experience in this. I hear that when you're flipping a property, right, like you're not going to put the same level of like aesthetic or finishes, right, in a flip that you would as a rental. So how are you kind of making that decision of what finishings you're putting in a property, knowing that potentially you might have to leverage an exit strategy that you weren't originally planning to take advantage of?
So when I'm modeling that deal, I want to make sure that it's going to make sense for either. So I'll put the finishes for a retail, but if I don't get the retail, guess what? That tenant just lucked out and got a nice granite countertop, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
That tenant lucked out, got some nice faucets, got some nice fixtures in the property that they wouldn't have got otherwise. But I'm modeling it the same way. So when I'm buying a property, I recommend to anybody, the best way to buy a property and be safe on any real estate investment is to make sure you have margin, right? So we want to be all in on our investments at no more than 70% of what that property is worth. So can I put in perspective?
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
So let's say you have a $100,000 property, right? Definitely not New York City. Right?
Yeah, I was saying it ain't happening, but go ahead.
$100,000 property. In the investments in the markets in the Midwest that we love to invest in, that's very common. We have a house that's worth $100,000. We off the bat, we know that we can't pay more than $70,000 for that house. But most of the houses have rehab in them. So I'm going to deduct what that rehab is going to be, and that's going to be my maximum allowable offer. So if that's 70,000, let's just say I think it's 10,000 in renovation. That's 70,000 minus 10,000. It means the most I can offer to make sure I buy that property right is $60,000 in that house.
So if the property's worth 100, right? How do you get the seller to sell it for 60?
That's the magic sauce, my brother. Right?
I'm just no.
No. So what we do that 98% of investors don't do is we buy all of our properties direct to owner. Right. So if you go to most new investors, when they want to be a real estate investor, they say, all right, I'm going to go get a realtor, get someone on the MLS, and you're competing against all the other competition out there. Right. We look for situations that make a seller motivated. All right. And then reach out to that seller directly before they even go on the MLS, before the property goes to auction. And we're trying to have an A/B conversation with them and negotiate with them. So we solve their situation, which in turn benefits us and gets us a great price. So it's a win-win for both parties.
Okay, I'm not gonna tell you to give away your secret sauce, but I'm also gonna tell you this is a podcast where we do no sauce separately.
No sauce separately.
This is not McDonald's, it's Chick-fil-A. The sauce comes.
Right, the sauce comes with it. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna charge you extra 25 cents for the sauce. Let's do it.
Right. But how do I find or
we asking for a friend because like Carter said he don't like real estate. I'm trying to get more into real estate, so you might not like it.
I just didn't know what I was doing.
Good,
I didn't know what I was doing, so a lot of this is asking for a friend.
It's all good. I'll give you a perfect example. The house I live in, right? I just don't believe in paying retail for something, right? So the house I lived in, my wife was like, "Oh, I want to live in this neighborhood." And
that's a nice house, but you live in, by the way. You got the palm trees in the back, the backyard. Now you got a nice house.
Where you based out of again?
Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, cool.
All right, so it's a nice house, man. 5,000 square feet on a lake, double gated community. It's a real nice house.
Yeah.
Now people think that you only get these good deals in the hood. That's cap, man. Right? There's people in distress everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So this particular house, my wife was like, "I want to live in this neighborhood." I was like, "All right, give me time. I'll find the right house for you." right? She was looking on the market 1.5, 1.4, 1.8, 1.2. I was like, I'm not paying retail for a house, baby, right?
So this is what I do.
Yeah, that's what I do, right? Why am I going to do that?
Yeah.
So I started looking at the pre-foreclosure list, people who were behind on their payments. And I started reaching out to these
That's public
owners.
information.
That's public information.
Ooh,
Go to the local county.
You
Go
just
to the
gave
local
me a
county.
gem.
Yeah.
I owe you some money. What's your cash out?
So I reached out to the seller. He was behind like 8 months on his payment. The bank filed a notice of foreclosure. And I said, look, you're about to get kicked out your house in a couple of weeks, right? So why don't you make a deal with me where you can have some money in your pocket? I'll pay off your mortgage. And then you go into your next situation in life with some cash. So you're not broke. What's going to happen is if you wait to the last minute, someone's going to kick you out of your own home.
Yeah. You're going to lose all the equity. You're going to lose everything.
all the equity. You're getting kicked out by the sheriff. It's just not a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
And he was
No
like,
dignity in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was like, why don't you come by my house? Let's talk about it. I
Yeah.
talked to him, and guess what happened? COVID happened, right? They stopped all foreclosures. So he stopped talking to me, right, for a year and a half. Then I get a phone call from him, and he's like, yo, you ready to buy the house? I was like, yeah. He's like, hey, I got an auction date in 7 days. I'm like, 7 days, bro. This is $1 million house. You got to give me some time, man.
Yeah. And auction day means that they were gonna.
No delay. It's going to auction that day. 7 days. I put the money together, got a hard money loan, got the cash together, put the money down, bought the house, bought it for $750. All right, on the home. I put $80,000 in renovations to the home. The home turned around and appraised for 1.7.
It's $1 million.
Yeah.
My man.
Hey, yeah, I got to say that one. My God.
$1 million. So
Hey, I'm about to consult you. This is property I'm trying to buy now.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on, Turbo. We sit up. You got to sit up a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk to him nice.
But like, bro, $1 million in one play. That's ridiculous.
The dude owed $600,000 on the house, right? He bought the house years ago. I mean, he just couldn't afford it. He was a pilot. He was making good money, right? He got sick, couldn't work, couldn't pay.
Yeah.
Right? That's the situation.
So what do you in that situation? What do you have to pay for? So you have to pay off the mortgage, which was $600,000.
Pay off the mortgage, yeah.
Do you have to pay all his late back payments as well?
that was part of the $600,000.
Yeah, just whatever's outstanding.
Oh, because whatever's outstanding on the
I
loan.
said,
the
I
bank
said,
just want their money.
There's
Yeah.
no closing costs. I'll cover the closing costs. We closed on it with the title company. The title company paid the mortgage. The day of the actual auction, they paid it and stopped the auction, right? They paid the mortgage, and then the difference went to him. So he walked away with almost $80,000 in his pocket to go into his next
Oh,
situation.
yeah, bro. We're going to do some business, brother.
Yeah. And then you walked away. He walked away with $80K. You walked away up $1 million. So I think everybody was.
I think it was a win-win.
And your wife was cool with the patience of the timeline.
She was patient. It took 2 years. We rented. We weren't homeless, right? But she got the dream house for half the price.
Yeah.
And you were able to put the renovations in it to make it how you wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the lesson in that. Is just be patient.
Yeah.
Right?
Be patient.
Be patient. I love that.
And what I loved about what you said, bro, is that like there are ways to find motivated people, and most people don't know that's public information.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can instead of going to the person who's doing great financially, he gonna say, if you want me to sell, bro, you gotta give me $200,000 over asking.
So can I give you a nugget?
Sure, world, bro.
Hey, with the salt.
I was
As long as we can dig with the salt.
You dripping in salt. Hey, what's that? The difference between the juice and the sauce?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I charge a lot of money for this information. I'm just dropping off for you guys right here.
Hey, we appreciate you, bro. Listen, let's trust me. We're going to do some business. I'm going to put some money back in your pocket. Trust me.
All right, man. So the 3 best ways that we get houses over the past 15 years, there's 3 ways, right? Simple, all public information, and all my favorite price to get the list.
Okay.
Free, right? So you can get these 3 lists without having to pay anybody just by putting the work in.
Okay.
Right? So real estate investing is work. A lot of people want the, get rich quick scheme that they don't have to work. You gotta do the work.
Well, you either have money or time. Period.
Exactly.
So if you ain't got the money to be paying asking, you better have the time to be figure out how not pay it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like first one, people behind on taxes, right? In every city in the United States, it might be internationally, when you own a piece of real estate, you got to pay your property taxes. If you don't pay your property taxes, the city or the county will auction off those taxes, right, to somebody else. That person can buy your house for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Right? Just because you didn't pay your taxes. Now, what most people do,
That's called tax deeds, right?
tax deeds.
Okay.
But what most people do, here's the difference, right? What most people do is they wait to the actual tax auction, and they're bidding against the JP Morgan Chases.
Fuck.
They're bidding against Bank of America. They're bidding against people with way bigger pockets than I got. Right?
Yeah. Willing to pay whatever.
Exactly, because they know I'm about to get a $500,000 house for $200K.
Yeah.
Right. So that's okay. If you want to do that, by no means, you might squeeze in a deal or two here or there.
Yeah.
But what we do is we take that list and 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks before the auction, we're hitting those people up with text messages. We're hitting them up with direct mail, and what we like to do is we like to piss them off, right? I learned that if you piss a seller off, he calls you back.
Greg Cardone say you either
buy, die,
or
tell me to go to hell.
Tell me to go to hell. Yeah.
So we send a postcard saying, "Hey, your tax auction's coming. Have you packed yet?" Right?
Poking the bear. Poking the bear.
These people
think he is?
exactly. You inconsiderate SOB beep beep, right?
Yeah.
And then so we're like, look, I've been trying to reach you, but you haven't responded. So I have a solution to end your problems that you're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
I could put money in your pocket, but if you don't want to listen to me, you can let somebody else kick you out in a few weeks from your house.
Yeah.
That's real.
But if you listen to me, I can put money in your pocket, solve your situation, and we both walk away with a great deal. And 50% of people will start to listen. The other 50%, and then they lose it. Right? Anyway, so that has I've bought over 80% of the houses off this one list right here.
He just get that to y'all free on the Melanin
And
Money Show.
Hey, look, man.
If you're not subscribed, man, I don't know what y'all doing.
Yeah. And we gonna make sure to put all your links in the bio.
Yeah, send them to me. I need to use the link. This man dropping game. Listen.
So you use like hire a VA to pull the list and just do the calls, so you don't have to do it.
All of it done via VA. Cold calling VA, texting via VA, and pulling the list VA. Only time we hear about it is when they start calling back for the leads.
So you don't got to deal with them being upset.
Nah,
really?
I did it at the beginning. Don't get me wrong. I did it at the beginning, right? So I had to put the work in so my future self would thank me, right?
Yeah.
So we put the work in the beginning and we put the systems in place, so it's all automated now.
That's powerful. That's valuable.
That's something.
That's crazy.
Because I heard of tax deeds, but I never heard of calling them before the auction. Because
that's a sauce.
You go in there with JP Morgan and they gonna outbid you.
Just make sure you pay some homage to my man when you run the play. That's all we ask. You know what I'm saying? Just pay some homage when you run the play. Don't try to package that with digital product, acting like you was the guru. Like pay some homage to my man because I know you didn't know that play.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now, that's dope. So
y'all want the second and third one?
Oh shit!
I forgot.
I forgot.
It was just that good. It was just that good.
Yeah, I was like, that alone, I can walk away and go home.
He said, I can't get an appetizer. Y'all want the entree and dessert? In what world do you not want the entree and dessert? My man.
Let's ride, brother. Let's
go.
So I'm a big believer that, if you can figure a way to buy stuff and not have to pay for it, by all means, go for it, right?
Yeah.
And that has worked for us hundreds and hundreds of times over, right? So, the second best list that you can get, that you can target, are people who are retiring landlords. Right, so somebody owned the property for 30 years. Chances are they paid pennies versus what that property's worth today. Right. So if they paid a house for if they paid $20,000 for a house, and I could offer them $100K today, that's a win for them, right?
Right.
But they may not realize that I can get $200K for that same house today. Right?
Yeah.
Because they're looking at what they paid for it.
And retiring landlords, you mean that they living in the spot? Or like
That's somebody that just own maybe like an apartment building or
They
something.
own an apartment building, own a house for years.
Right.
They collected rent for years, so the house is probably paid off already. Right. Their basis is really low. And then we come in and we love buying them. I mean, I bought a package 2 months ago in Cleveland, Ohio, of 38 homes from a retiring landlord.
Yeah.
And guess how much I had to put down on that package?
38 homes, Cleveland. I'm gonna say you put down 250.
It cost us $100,000 out of pocket. All we had to pay is the closing costs, right? 100% of it was
How much was
financed.
the portfolio worth?
$3.5 million purchase.
Because I'm thinking, I'm like 38 homes, 100,000 about each. Yeah, so that's about 3.5 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And you only have to pay the closing costs, which
Only
is
had
like
to pay the closing. It was less than 100K actually, but only had to pay the closing costs because of the retiring landlords. When I figured this strategy out, right? I mean, bro, the more you learn, the more you earn, right?
Yeah.
When I figured this strategy out 5 years ago, it was game, man, game over, right? So that's how we got to our 600 homes.
and then. So wait, because my tax brain is
I didn't even break it. I didn't even give you the bomb drop yet, right?
Okay, yeah, I'm just like, okay, wait. So y'all pay less than $100,000. Y'all pay closing costs. So now you're the owner. Y'all own the properties, and I'm just thinking from a tax standpoint. If you do cost segregation studies on all these properties, you can write off 30% of $3.2 million. That's like $800,000 or $900,000 in tax savings, and you only cost you just exchanged $80,000 or $90,000 in actual dollars and received $800,000 in tax savings, which could wipe out your tax bill for the next 5 years.
Yes, sir.
How have you been able to take the ownership of doing something, being successful at it, and just deciding to pivot without feeling like, man, like people knew me for selling clothes or people knew me for do-rags. Now they know me for AI, without people feeling like you're like just, all over the place.
Yeah. I think, honestly, that was one of the hardest maneuvers. And
I remember you stressing out about it, bro. You're like, bro,
God.
I want to make this shift, but I don't know how. I'm like, bro, if it's what you want to do, you got to just do that joint. You know what I'm saying?
And I realize, there's very unique things about myself and about you, and everybody has their unique thing that they bring to the marketplace.
Right.
And I think for me, I just realized like, there's only certain things that I can do and I can say and I can present. And regardless of the opinions of the masses, it really doesn't matter, because if I'm doing what makes me happy and if I'm doing something that's moving the needle for my community, whoever's saying anything negative, you're not contributing as much. So I can't really value what you say. And for me personally, managing a bunch of different businesses required me hiring on a bunch of people. So like we have over 20 people that work with me now, and it's kind of difficult to manage all of those things and then keep this business at this point and this business at this point, and then still get this one to get to this point. Like it's a lot of maneuvering, but I think like that's what I was built for. I think a lot of people say, start with one business, and I fully agree. Now that I've had the 5 years of entrepreneurship and I've been in, I've made a lot of huge mistakes, but I've made a lot of money and I've lost a lot of money. Now that I realize it, that's best way for most beginners. But once you get to a point, like if you're very ambitious, like some of us, like where we can manage a couple different things, you may not be great at it, but most people never look at the long term. If I dedicate 10 years to focusing on these three things I could possibly exit. That's something that I'm in talks with right now, is exiting my Discord community. It's like, and people don't talk about 6-7 figure deals and doing stuff like that. So it's like, it's just being able to think farther than just 1 year from now, 2 years from now. I'm always thinking 3 to 5 years from now.
Yeah, and it's hard for people to think that way, because it's like at the end of the day, like you got to pay the bills today, or it's like, this is what's right in front of me. And if you believe that you're going to be here for the next 5, 10, 15 years, you have to put effort into understanding how can I start to build what that's going to look like today. But it's not an easy feat. And I commend you at 24. 24 to have that foresight. That speaks volumes of who you are as a person.
I appreciate it.
Since I know AI is a new space, we typically don't get like super deep and tactical in the podcast, but I do think it would be helpful to highlight some of the more prominent tools that you feel like people should know about as they start to explore in their journey of learning more about AI.
Yeah, and real quick before that, because I know you got hella apps, but like some people are scared of this, right? And I want to shut that fear down.
Absolutely.
Because if they don't, they're not gonna listen to the game you're about to give. So like you said something we spoke at my event the other day, like AI won't replace people. People that know how to use AI will replace people.
Exactly.
So like AI, it won't replace you if you learn how to use it, right? So I think it's vital what you're doing, because you're teaching people how to steer the car and not just let it go out, go off road. So I want to commend you for that. And also like, what can you first tell somebody who's scared of AI to get them to like want to start adapting it?
I've realized that a lot of people, when they usually fear something, is because they don't know anything about it.
Exactly.
And you will actually, I promise y'all, like, man, like I really try to get on these podcasts and really try to like figure out what can I say to like sink in somebody's brain, like plant the seed. If you just go do research for like just 2 hours, just on like how to use ChatGPT, that one thing, once you learn it, you're gonna be like, yo, like that's mind blowing. Like everything changes. I never write emails no more. I don't have to hire somebody to write an email. Even the email team that I use now, they use AI to write. It's not that I won't go hire the person who's gonna do it, but it's just that I know that this is gonna be it's gonna convert better for me.
It's gonna make your job easy to do. I don't care how long it takes to get your job done. Just get the job done right.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And be able to exponentially increase the output, right? Because before you might be able to charge me $1,000 for 10 emails, like, bro, that's dead, right?
That's super dead.
Now, I'll still hire you to manage it, right? But I'm not paying you $1,000 for 10 emails.
Absolutely. And I think people who are working 9 to 5s, or if you have your own business, it's a way of lessening the amount of work, increasing your ROI for your business. Because when you work for somebody or something like that, your end goal is and their end goal for hiring you is to increase their overall bottom line.
Right.
And I think the faster we understand that we can increase our own bottom line by utilizing these things, and I don't mean just by money, I mean by your level of knowledge. If you learn how to ask the right questions, and that's one of my favorite parts about AI is it's all reverse engineering. Right. We are right now in today's society, we're always forward thinking, but we never look at like, okay, well, this was the solution, but how did they even get there? We never look at the steps before they even got to this solution. And I learned this a lot from Alex Hormozius, his ability to break down a solution or break down a problem into little minuscule things, and then working backwards on solving that problem. And I think that it changed everything. Like this, and this is how it happened within the last 8 months of me like really like reprogramming how I think. Now all I'm doing is asking the right questions, and I'll find the right answer at some point in time.
You said something, I think actually, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it was from Alex Ramosi too, that reminded me of something he said. He was like, because you said just take 2 hours, right? So it's like most people just never take that first hour. So it's like, it didn't take you 5 years to learn it. It just took you 5 years to take that first hour back. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the key. But no, I just thought that was key, because so many people just think things are so hard and they don't want to touch on or do it, but just sit down and explore it. You know what I mean? But yeah, so back to the tools, right? Like what are, and I don't want to oversimplify it, but I do think if people could understand some key things that could benefit them in their business or their life that they're just unaware of, I would love to hear you share some of your top picks.
Absolutely. So I think AI tools are very prominent right now, just because it's able to even, we spoke yesterday with, what's her name? Elise, I think.
Elise Swopes, yeah.
And she was talking about Jasper AI, and that's primarily for content. But I think a lot of the older people right now, they feel like they can't build a good business or work smarter, or they're just not tech savvy and things like that. And I realized like these are the solutions specifically for them and for the newer people to be even more advanced by using these things. So it gives everybody an option to do better. And what I've realized is that like all of the different tools that I personally use, like if I wanted to clone myself, right? Like if I don't want to make content anymore myself and I want to just take a picture of myself and have it talking, you can use this AI tool called D-ID. And basically you upload an image and then you speak to it, whatever you want it to say, and then it'll literally take your mouth and it'll say it. Even with like Photoshop, every company right now, Microsoft, Adobe, like everybody is actually utilizing AI within their business because it enhances how people are able to get the outputs, the results that they want. And even with like Photoshop, being able to select a portion of an image and then type in what you wanted to have in that image, and then it automatically pops up. Like that's game changing for designers. That's game changing for people who do photography. That's game changing for me. If I wanted to be at Drake's house one day, I could put it in Drake's house. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's it's a layer deeper. But there's so many of them, like logo AI. If you don't know how to really make logos, you don't want to pay somebody on Fiverr. Even if you look at freelancers, the prices are starting to significantly change now. You're not getting paid the same because AI has made it so easy for people to get those things.
And I think the thing that people don't get about technology advances is market efficiency. Right? Like TVs used to cost more than they cost now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's because like at the time it took so much to make it. And so it's better for the consumer when but the consumer is the one that's scared of it. It's like, no, like this can actually be more beneficial for you if you understand the power of this evolution.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many, like I every time I find a new AI tool, I just put it in my notes. Cause like I might not use it now, but throughout the next 3 years, it's a high probability that I'll probably use it. And there's so many. So like there's Xod, you can have AI run your Facebook ads for you. Like out of all the people who are charging thousands of dollars in percentages, thousands, literally. And people don't have that right now. And it's like, I had to realize like I have to give the information to them because they don't have it. Xod, I think they charge like $150 a month. And this is by, this is no promotion or anything like that, but this is just game, just to give people. It's $150 a month and they run the ads for you. You tell it the budget, you give it the creatives, and it'll turn off the ad sets that aren't supposed to be. It makes the job easier for you. So it's like the ability to make more excuses is just getting lessened.
What also I think it'll do is it'll create a meritocracy. So for example, I'm a people person, relationship guy. Like I like my team, like, and so it's like, I'm never going to see an AI tool and be like, oh, found this AI tool, you're gone. It's always going to be like hey, here's this market efficiency. At the end of the day, this is the outcome I would like to have happen. If you can match it, I'll still pay you, honestly, because I just want the outcome. For me, it's not that much about profitability unless it's like killing my bottom line, right? So I'll give you a chance to match the outcome or leverage it to improve our business. But if you can't, like, it would be crazy. Like it would be crazy of me to not consider using AI, right? And so I think just giving people opportunity to improve their skills or understand how to leverage AI so that it can be a win-win for everybody. Because at the end of the day, as business owners, we just want to be more profitable. We want to increase our bottom line. We don't want to fire or cut people, but it just has to make sense.
And one thing that Alex Ramosi was talking about, him saying, and I love this, he said he challenged all of his team members to find 3 AI softwares that could possibly replace you. All of them, assistant, team, ads, whatever. And everybody found the 3. They're like scared that he was going to fire him. He said, no, now use these tools to do your job better. I don't care how many hours you work. Right. To get the job done. Now, so like the people that are scared of you might be able to find tools that can make your job easy. Because again, somebody still needs to manage it.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody needs to work it. So like people actually with AI have the opportunity to make the same amount of money, but do less work.
Right.
Because as business owner, we're not tracking your hours necessarily. We just want to get the job done.
Right.
And it might be able,
make more.
you might be, because now you're doing your job better. You might deserve a raise now.
Right.
You know what I'm
deserve a raise or leverage the AI to optimize what you're doing, which creates more profit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right. But you just can't be scared of it.
Yeah, you can be. I mean, and that's what I've realized is the biggest thing right now is we're so scared of it.
Yeah.
You know, people think AI, iRobot. And as funny as it sounds, and you know, it sounds really funny when you say it.
We ain't that far away from it.
But we really not that far away. You know, you got to really start looking at the ethical standpoints of this when you start really doing research outside of bottom lines and all of that stuff, and you start looking at things from like a ethical standpoint.
Right.
It's like, you know, what do you do if somebody ends up creating a fake video with Joe Biden saying we're going to war with Russia, and then that gets over there, and then they take it,
Seriously.
and then they we are cool. We gonna hit first.
Yeah.
Right.
Start whole wars. It's the same thing with the stock market. You know, they took an image.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Of like they took an image and it was like, I think it was a plane.
Like
or
crashed into the Pentagon or something like that.
It crashed into the Pentagon. The market dropped. I think it was like, I can't remember exactly what. I think it was 3-4%, and it was like
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like off of an image on Twitter. But the problem is media. You know, media controls a lot of the narratives. So when they take an image and they don't do no back research, because they just want to instill fear in you.
Yeah.
So when they just throw it up there, you're scared. Now the market's scared, and you know what they say: when you fear, you sell. Right? So it's just common things that we just got to be looking at. Like, whoa.
Yeah, I think every new technology creates a new problem that has to be solved. But the rate at which technology accelerates, we have to figure out how to speed up the solution.